The day the letter arrived was like any other, with the sun hanging lazily above, indifferent to the mundane routines of my life. Working at the local electronics store provided little in terms of excitement, but it was a living. That morning, as I sipped my overbrewed coffee, the mailman dropped off a stack of envelopes, one of which bore the heavy, ornate seal of a law firm I'd never heard of. The letter inside was brief, informing me of my estranged grandfather's passing, and more shockingly, that I was his sole heir. I'd never met the man, my mother seldom spoke of him, and when she did, her words were laced with a bitterness I never understood. The idea of inheriting his estate and wealth was as foreign to me as the man himself. My initial disbelief soon gave way to a burgeoning curiosity, and, I'll admit, a touch of excitement. It wasn't long before I made the decision that would alter the course of my life. I quit my job, packed up my few belongings, and set out for the mansion that was now mine. The mansion defied my expectations. Nestled on the outskirts of town, it was a majestic structure of old stone and modern glass, a testament to a man who, despite our lack of acquaintance, had now indelibly marked my existence. The interior was equally imposing, with high ceilings and rooms filled with the latest technologies, a stark contrast to the antiquated exterior. It was as if the mansion straddled two worlds, one foot in the past, and the other firmly in the present. The first few weeks were a blur of exploration and adjustment. I found myself walking the halls with a sense of awe, each room revealing a piece of my grandfather's life. His study was particularly fascinating, filled with books on topics ranging from philosophy to the occult. It was here that I found the amulet, an intricate piece of craftsmanship that seemed to pulsate with an inner light. The mansion, for all its beauty, had secrets. Loud bangs disturbed the silence of the night, sounds with no discernible source that echoed through the corridors. I initially dismissed them as the settling of an old house, but as the nights progressed, so too did my unease. The library, once a place of intrigue, began to fill me with a sense of dread, its books on dark rituals and forbidden knowledge seeming to watch me from their shelves. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I saw them for the first time. Figures clad in black robes, standing at the edge of the property, their eyes fixed on the mansion. I convinced myself they were merely curious onlookers, but their presence filled me with a chilling sense of foreboding. The nightmares commenced swiftly, each one casting me into infernal realms far beyond the ken of mortals. My slumber was besieged by grotesque demons and hellscapes of such vivid terror that each subsequent dream eclipsed the last in horror. I found myself ensnared in a malignant world, where tormented souls clashed in endless conflict, their struggles a macabre spectacle for their demonic spectators. Each morning I awoke depleted, the boundary between dreaming and waking increasingly indistinct, my hold on reality loosening. What have I done by coming here? The transformation of the mansion from a place of wonder to a crucible of terror was gradual but unyielding. My initial excitement at the lavish lifestyle and independence the inheritance afforded me was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the creeping dread that filled my days and haunted my nights. The once comforting solitude of the mansion became oppressive, the silence a harbinger of unseen threats lurking in the shadows. I found myself obsessing over a peculiar amulet I discovered in my grandfather's study. It was crafted from a metal that I had never seen before, adorned with symbols that seemed to writhe under my gaze. The light it emitted wasn't constant but pulsed, like a heartbeat, growing stronger as the days passed. At times it felt warm to the touch, almost alive. I began to wear it constantly, convinced it was linked to the phenomena occurring within the mansion's walls. The black-robed figures became a nightly vigil, their numbers growing, forming a silent perimeter around the property. Their presence was suffocating, a constant reminder that I was being watched, studied. I attempted to approach them once, driven by fear and desperation, but they vanished before I could get close, leaving me to question if they were ever there at all. I began to question my own reality, of what was real and what was just my mind, my view of what I thought was reality, becoming fractured and distant. My interactions with the outside world dwindled to nothing. Friends and acquaintances reached out, concerned by my sudden disappearance from their lives, but I ignored their calls and messages. The thought of leaving the mansion, of abandoning my inheritance, filled me with an irrational fear. I convinced myself that I needed to understand the legacy my grandfather left behind, to uncover the secrets of the mansion and the amulet. This obsession consumed me, my every thought revolving around the mysteries that surrounded me. The intensity of my dreams surged, morphing into harrowing visions where demonic figures murmured seductive offers of power and immortality, demanding my fealty in return. They showcased grotesque ordeals designed to amuse entities from beyond our understanding, entities so alien that my mind struggled to grasp their essence. These nightmares transcended mere figments of a disturbed psyche. How could my imagination alone craft such abominations? They bore the weight of implanted memories, each night unfurling new terrors more ghastly than those before. Sleep became a gateway to dread, each nightfall a prelude to yet unknown terrors that lurked in the darkness, waiting. During my waking hours, I pored over my grandfather's books, searching for answers. The more I read, the more I realized that he had been involved in practices that bordered on the arcane, rituals designed to breach the veil between this world and the next. It became clear that the amulet was central to these practices, a tool or key of some sort, though its exact purpose eluded me. My grip on reality began to slip as the boundary between the physical world and the realm of my nightmares blurred. I saw shadows move of their own accord, heard whispers with no discernible source, and felt eyes watching me from every corner. The mansion, my inheritance, had become a prison, and I its unwilling warden, trapped by blood and bound by legacy to a fate I was only beginning to comprehend. The relentless pursuit of understanding my grandfather's legacy had driven me to the edge of madness. My days were consumed by research into dark rituals and the occult, while my nights were plagued by nightmares that left me questioning the nature of my own existence. On one of those restless nights, I was thrust into a moment of profound revelation. Roaming the mansion's labyrinthine halls, the amulet at my neck throbbed with unprecedented intensity. This unseen force compellingly guided me to the library, a sanctuary where I had devoted endless hours to unraveling mysteries. It was there I encountered a tome that seemed to resonate with the essence of my being, a book that, against all logic, appeared to have evaded my exhaustive searches. Barely had I time to marvel at this anomaly when its pages began to turn of their own accord, as if animated by some spectral hand. Driven by a mix of desperation and burgeoning curiosity, I yielded to the impulse to delve into its contents. The script before me outlined a ritual of awakening, a sophisticated rite intended to bridge the gap between the realms of the living and the deceased, enabling spirits to transition to the afterlife while preventing their return. The amulet, it revealed, served as a crucial nexus for this exchange, a pivotal link between our world and the ethereal plane. Yet, as I delved deeper, a more sinister aspect of the ritual unfurled, a perverse twist that allowed the dead to claim the living as vessels, achieving a form of rebirth through bloodline and sacrifice. The stark realization dawned upon me. My grandfather's engagement with the occult was far from a mere hobby. He was an adept, consumed by the pursuit of eternal life, willing to navigate the most forbidden avenues of power. Fueled by a mix of fear and desperation, I decided that I must take this gamble. I began to prepare for the ritual. The mansion itself seemed to guide me, revealing hidden compartments and secret rooms filled with the necessary implements and ingredients. As the night deepened, I donned the black robe I found among my grandfather's belongings, its fabric cold and alien against my skin. The ritual was complex, requiring precise movements and incantations. As I proceeded, the air around me grew thick, charged with an energy that was both exhilarating and terrifying. The amulet blazed with light, its glow illuminating the room with an ethereal fire. And then, as I spoke the final words, silence enveloped me, a silence so profound it felt as if the world had ceased to exist. From the shadows a figure emerged. It was my grandfather, or rather an apparition of him, his visage twisted by a hunger that was palpable. He spoke of his quest for eternal life, of the sacrifices he had made in pursuit of this goal. some so horrifying and malevolent I had trouble just comprehending them. He confessed to orchestrating my inheritance, drawing me into his world of darkness and despair. The revelation was a blow, a betrayal that cut deeper than any fear. My grandfather sought to use me as a vessel, a means to escape the limbo in which he was trapped. The mansion, the wealth, the amulet, all had been part of a meticulously crafted plan to ensure his return to the realm of the living. The air in the library was thick with tension, a force that seemed to squeeze the very breath from my lungs. My grandfather's spirit, a specter of ambition and malevolence, hovered before me, his eyes burning with a cold, unnatural light. The revelation of his plan, of my role in his quest for immortality, filled me with a dread far deeper than the fear of the unknown that had plagued me since my arrival at the mansion. I refused to be a part of this, I declared, my voice steady despite the terror gripping my heart. The amulet around my neck pulsed with an intensity that matched my resolve, its light now a beacon of defiance against the darkness my grandfather represented. "You have no choice," his voice was a whisper, yet it bore the weight of centuries, a command that brooked no opposition. "You are the key to my liberation, the final piece in a puzzle, centuries in the making." As his words echoed through the room, a moment of lucid insight enveloped me. The amulet, the ritual, the very walls of the mansion, each was a tool, not bound exclusively to his command. The ritual's malevolence lay in its appeal to the entities lurking in the penumbra beyond our world, a grotesque performance for their amusement. Yet, it was clear that the ultimate power rested with the individual who possessed the deepest desire, the one whose resolve was unyielding, emerging victorious with their soul intact. The legacy my grandfather aimed to bestow upon me was not a burden, but an arsenal, a realization that ignited within me the determination to seize this power for myself, armed with the resolve to harness it. Drawing upon every ounce of will, I focused on the amulet, envisioning it not as the conduit for his return, but as a barrier, a seal that would bind him to the shadows forever. The mansion responded to my intent, its ancient walls groaning as if in support, the air shimmering with unseen energies. The spirit of my grandfather recoiled, his form wavering as he sensed the shift in power. "You would deny me my legacy," he roared, the room shaking with the force of his fury. "I do," I replied, the words a declaration of war against the darkness he represented. "I will not be the vessel for your curse. Your time is over." With a final, desperate invocation, I directed the power of the amulet against him. A blinding light filled the room, a pure, searing force that seemed to tear at the very fabric of reality. When the light faded, he was gone, his presence eradicated from the mansion that had been his prison and his would-be sanctuary. In the aftermath, a profound silence enveloped me, not the oppressive stillness of before, but a peace that spoke of battles fought and won. The mansion, once a place of secrets and shadows, felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from its ancient stones. With the completion of the ritual, the oppressive weight that had threatened my sanity dissolved. Freedom from this tyranny was mine at last, yet it stirred something dormant within me. It's possible a fragment of my grandfather's malevolent essence had imprinted itself upon my being. Or maybe this darkness had lain in wait within me all along, biding its time until the right moment to emerge. Ultimately, the origins of this shadow are irrelevant. What matters now is what lies ahead. From that pivotal moment, I approached my grandfather's tomes with a newfound perspective, eyes alight with a fierce determination to delve deeper, to ascend beyond previous limits. These eyes now gleam with a dire purpose, a terrible resolve.